22. Hold on, let me just get it going here. So we're live on YouTube and Rumble. Live on YouTube and Rumble. Okay. Welcome, my friends. I'm going to kind of make this, live stream kind of tight, at least for the first portion of this. And then we'll go into more detail, and you can ask your questions if there's some specific things in the second portion here. I don't know how long this first portion will take, but I want to make it tight. I just want to bring out the points I want to make so that people can watch the replay and don't have to go search for the information. Okay, so I'm not going to pay much attention to the comments yet until I get through this. If I go through it fast, then we'll go through your comments. We don't have a specific time here, except for that the entire video cannot exceed an hour and a half. Okay, so this first portion here should take no more than half an hour or less. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to make this kind of tight, like I said, and just, put in as much information as I can within a short amount of time. Then you can hold off some of you have very specific questions, and we'll get to that a little later. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is the BraX2 phone. So I got one here that I'm charging, and we're going to go through that. I have my own. This is like a stock one that I have here, so I'm not even sure if it's been updated yet. It may not be updated, but yeah, it's probably not updated. But we're gonna, go through this and see what the hell this phone is all about and what makes this different. So that's called a BraX2 phone. A little bit of history here. The BraX2 phone, we started shipping this late April, May, around May or so. Sorry for the loud. I guess it's updating the apps and doing a lot of updates here. So it's kind of loud. So okay, turn off the sound on the notifications on the BraX2 phone. So we released it around May or so, and this is the second release. This was only available October-ish, and this is the BraX2 version USA, the USA version. So this is the one I'm selling right now, is the USA version. So it's only like a few months old, and obviously the BraX2 phone is brand new. Now, some of you have other options with the Google phones, which is really what this is about. It's about the Google phones. And there are many options with the Google phones, but typically the typical way that you get a Google phone is you take a Google Pixel of some sort, Google 4a, Google 5, Google whatever, and then you flash it with some custom ROM. I typically ship it from here, flash with LunarOS, and there's some other options available out there. And that's one option. Now this one is a little bit different because BraX2 comes with its own OS pre-made, and it's already installed on it. So there's quite a bit of a difference when the OS is actually made for the phone, and we'll get into that in a moment. So what is the Google phone, or what is the point of the Google phone? Well, if you watch my last few videos on the disturbing reality about phone tracking on a phone, the fact of the matter is there is no way to escape the tracking. I don't have any solution. Some guy made a comment on Twitter that I'm so negative because, I don't offer any solutions. Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to the phone, there is no solution. It's a very sad thing, but there is no solution. You have an expensive iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I offer you no solution other than to sell the phone. Unfortunately, there is no solution, especially to iPhones. There's a partial solution to some of you with Google Pixels. Some of you, 50% of you, can de-Google the phone. But, you may want to just sell it and get a different option. So the different option is getting a phone like a BraX2, which is de-Googled by nature. It's already shipped to you It's never had any other OS on here. It's always been the Google since day one. Now, what is the advantage of the Google phone? Again, I'm trying to squeeze in as much information as I can in a very short amount of time. What is the advantage of the Google phone? Well, the advantage of the Google phone is it's invisible to Google. Google cannot spot its location. Google not do telemetry to find the IMEI, the serial numbers, the advertising ID. About the only thing that Google could possibly pick out of the phone is the IP address. It can't pick out the phone number. It can't actually read that, which it can on any other phone, meaning an iPhone or a standard Android like your Samsungs, your LGs, your Google Pixels, and so on. They can all, Google can read the data and identify you. It doesn't matter if you log in or not, they can spot the hardware identifiers. And the location is always tracked. There's no way to turn tracking off on a normie phone. You may think me very negative, but there's no way to do it. I don't know of a way to do it. I already explained the technology behind it. On a Google phone, none of that exists. There is actually no technology that can track the phone. In fact, the phone has no indoor Wi-Fi triangulation. The location on a Google phone only tracks if you're outdoors. Indoors, it doesn't work. Indoors, it just takes the cache copy of the location, assumes you're in the same location as what the GPS recorded last, but it can actually track you indoors. So if you if you went outside somewhere, turn off the phone and turn it back on in your house, it's going to have the location that it had when you were outdoors. So this is the only phone category that I know of, and specifically this is the only phone that I can trust to actually block all the locations, including SUPL, SUPL, which is a new threat that was discovered more recently, like earlier in the year. So before that, nobody knew about SUPL. Okay, somebody looked at the source code of Android open source, found SUPL, and said, "What the zuck is going on?" And then we discovered that there's some other stuff going on the phone. So a phone like this does not have any way of tracking location other than by permission, and it doesn't work indoors. So this is the only phone that can do that. So the Google phone cannot be tracked, but a BraX2 phone specifically does not have a indoor GPS. Some people actually say, "Oh, your GPS isn't working." No, GPS doesn't work indoors. So indoors it needs something called NLP. And NLP, network location provider, does not exist. We do not provide a network location provider on this. Neither does it do cell triangulation. It doesn't do that because it's not equipped to do that. We took it out. So we control the source code of BraxOS, which is what's on this. This is not LineageOS, it's BraxOS. Unfortunately, we cannot flash any other OS on here because somebody has to invest time in that, and we're not going to do that. So the only OS on this is BraxOS. Now, a little bit of history here. This is called BraX2 or BraX2 because that's the second iteration of this. But the X1 model of this, believe it or not, used to be called the Black Phone. So if some of you have heard of the Black Phone, it's the version 1 of this phone. So there's some history here. Black Phone no longer has phones. They went to software. But so this was the early model of this was the early Black Phone. So there's some history of this in cybersecurity circles. Now the OS for this phone is called BraxOS. Now, just so you know what BraxOS is actually a fork of LunarOS. LunarOS is open source. There's a link in the description. You can look at the open source. And LunarOS is managed by the Good Phone Foundation. I'm one of the advisors to the Good Phone Foundation, and you can see it there. And this OS is used by some other players, not just a Brax phone. Mostly in the EU. So there are other players that use it. The main one in Europe is Simple Mobile is using it, and a variant of it. Our variant is called BraxOS, and I believe eFoundation started using it. So So if you've heard of eFoundation with the Google phones, it's the same model when they're not flashing Google Pixel. So there's no secrets here. I'm just trying to make you know what's up. So it's the same phone, and I believe Volta Wireless sells another variant of this, same hardware. Volta Wireless sells this hardware, and then with some version of Good Phone Foundation on the phone with much higher price point. So anyway, I'm not the only one selling this particularly phone hardware, although I'm likely the major seller of this. I probably have sold more of this than anyone else. So we've sold a lot of these phones. So just so you know, so I'm likely the major supplier of this phone model. Now, this phone, as you can see, is XL size. Is the size of a Pixel 4 XL, a 4A 5G, a large size phone, like a Apple. I mean a iPhone 13 Max. So it's a large size phone, 6.5 inch screen. So it's a larger size versus the let's say the Pixel 4 or Pixel 4a, which is the smaller phone. So this phone is invisible to Google. There's really no alternative if you have a normie phone. If you have a normie phone, you're pretty much zocked. I don't have an answer for you. The only answer is to change to one of these kinds of phones. And this is one of the options. You have other options. You can take your Pixel and flash them. We can flash them for you too. You can do it yourself. There's, I'm not going to push any particular thing here, but this is a very popular model. And one of the advantages of this model is brand new. Whereas if you get if you don't own your Pixel already and you want to flash it, by the way, only 50% of Pixels can be flashed. So it's kind of risky. You could brick your phone if you flash it and it's not from Google Store. The only Google Pixels that can be flashed are those from Google Store, not from a carrier. If you bought it from a carrier, you can't use it. So this one is really made to be de-Googled. So there's like no mysteries to it. And again, the advantage of it is we actually made some modifications to the OS security-wise that is better than, let's say, LunarOS, and it has some features related to location tracking, like the absence of an NLP and supple connectivity that is important to hide your location. So this is built into this phone. Okay, now because the phone is built in with an OS. The OS has apps already included on it. And with these apps, it includes the basics of a Google phone. If you flash an OS with LunarOS, it doesn't have the basics on here. The basics are F-Droid, Aurora Store, and Micro G. If you don't have those, then many apps won't run, and basically you don't know how to put an app on the phone. It's tedious. You got to go copy and install all that, and a lot of extra steps. On this phone, you don't have to worry about that. So if you reset the phone, it just goes back to the set of standard apps you see here. So it does come with a lot of apps. Okay? So it's already pre-made, and you have apps relating to maps, for example, the substitute for Google Maps. It has VPN apps, and Waze is even included. Signal is pre-installed here. Music players, OpenVPN, Orbot, Brave browser, among other things. And then from here you can install whatever apps you want. Now, the good news about that is, if you feel like you screwed up your phone in some way, you can hit reset. You can reset as often if you want. If you feel like you got hacked, which I don't believe you are, but many of you think that, and all you have to do is hit reset, and that wipes everything out, and you're back to the way it was. The other thing that we can do on the phone that you can't do on all the other models is we can update the OS even to a higher version of Android. You don't have to send the phone to us to update the version of Android. Typically, if you have LunarOS, you can update only within the major version number. Let's say you're on version 18.1 of LunarOS. You can't update it to 19.1. You gotta flash it fresh again. you can do it on here without losing your data. So that's the advantage when we control the OS, we control the update server, and it connects to us. Okay? And there's some other hidden things that there's a connectivity check on the phone that connects to Google. Even if it's Lineage OS, it has connectivity to Google and supple. There's some imperfections on Lineage OS that don't exist with a BraX2. So the BraX2 phone is naturally safer. And because we control the OS, we also have long-term support for the OS because the phone is supported through the Good Phone Foundation. There are developers actively working on it because it's the same source code for all. And so it's kind of a general version with the Good Phone Foundation. The Good Phone Foundation is founded by Dominic Gingras. You can look at the website. He's obviously, I'm dealing with Dominic. And as I told you, I'm one of the advisors to the Good Phone Foundation. Now, one of the unique things also about the BraX2 phone, which cannot be duplicated on any Pixel, is that we can change the IMEI. As you know, you are tracked by IMEI. We actually spoof the IMEI on this, and we actually provide you with a tool if you want to flash the IMEI, take another phone, transfer the IMEI to this phone, and to the carrier, it will appear to be that phone model. So, so spoofing of the IMEI is only possible on a BraX2. You cannot spoof on any other model. Thank you, Mysticulous. Thank you. Which hotspot would be private with the BraX2? It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Okay, so yeah, hold off your questions on that later. Save your membership. Yeah, save that for later. So because I'm trying to squeeze in as much information in a short amount of time. So if you want the special capability of changing the IMEI, this is the answer, because IMEI is a identity that's tied to the phone. If you can change that, it's a very strong point. So often, some of you have phones that are rejected by the carrier because they put some limits on the IMEI. They say, well, we don't support that model, even though it works. There's a trick. You flash the IMEI, spoof it to a different model, and then suddenly it works, and they don't complain, and they say, oh, you have a Pixel 4a. Okay, we support that. That's how dumb it is. It's like a game. We have to play this game, but it works. Okay, so the current price of this phone is $420. So we're selling this currently for $420 plus shipping to where you are, but $420 plus tax if you're in California. And I'm a little low on stock this week, but should have sufficient stock shortly, maybe a week from now. So I still have stock, but I don't have a lot of stock at the moment. This phone is under 1 year warranty. So if you buy a Pixel used, there's no warranty. Something happens, you got to go repair it. This one is under warranty, and many of you already availed the warranty. And if you break the screen or break the back, we have a program where we exchange the phone and give you a new one, and we'll repair it later because we don't have the facility to repair at the moment. As far as cases go, it comes with a case like this, as you can see. So let me remove the case here so you see without the case. So that's the original phone. I know it's hard to see because it's all black here. Okay, maybe fingerprint smudges here. Here's the case that it comes with. Okay, but somebody on BraxMe made 3D printed cases. He 3D printed this as Cowboy Zero. You go to BraxMe, you can buy directly from him. He sells this for $15, shipping included. So if you want a case, this is like a hard case. Okay, and then it comes with a screen protector, and if you need to replace a screen protector, you can get one on Amazon or whatever. Any 6.5-inch screen will work because this is 6.53-inch screens. So it's pretty standard screen. So any 6.5 or XL size phone screen will work fine. Okay, now what works and what doesn't work on a BraX2 phone? Well, there's no Google apps of any sort, with a couple exceptions. You cannot load YouTube, Gmail. None of those apps will even start. So you cannot do anything that's requiring a Google ID or is dependent on a Google ID. So none of those apps from Google will work. Google specifically requires a library of functions that are provided by Google services. There is no Google service on this. It's been replaced by micro G. So it will fail. And then when it fails, it won't work, which is perfect. So that's what we want. Nothing Google will work on this. And that's some implications there. The implication is that you don't really have to worry about anything. Remember, the phone does not have a Google ID. There's no login to the phone. At no point did you identify yourself to any party, including Google. There's really nothing to identify the phone to you, and no system app or any other app can read the IMEI, the serial numbers, the advertising ID. None of that actually exists. So it's about as good a phone as you can get nowadays. It's pretty amazing. Now, what apps work? What doesn't work? Excluding Google. How are we doing time here? Oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. Most apps will work with a few exceptions. The exceptions are it doesn't take apps that accept payments. It does. Some apps that require Google services may flash an error that says your phone requires Google services and we can't run without it. Ignore that. Most of them work. I just tried this, and I don't recommend that you use these apps, but I tried them and they work fine. It runs Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. They all work. I tried them. They all work. Okay. So is there a danger to that? Yeah, there's a danger to Facebook and Instagram for other reasons that have to do with their presence on the internet. But it works. So what doesn't work? Well, what doesn't work is Uber and Lyft. And the reason is those apps require Google Maps, and require payments. So does that mean you can't use Uber and Lyft and any of those kinds of apps on the phone? No, you can use the browser. So you go to the browser, the pre-installed one is Brave, and go to the browser, go to the Uber website, and you can use it that way. So no problem. I mean, it's still completely functional on those kinds of apps, but that's a minority. Most apps will work. You do not want Gmail on the phone, because if you load Gmail using some other email client like K9 or any one of those, the effect will be that the Gmail will track your IP address constantly and will kind of semi-track your phone. It's not permanent, but it's irritating as heck. And they can't identify the phone, but they can identify your IP address. So if you are using Gmail, I suggest you have Gmail forwarded to your phone, and do not use Gmail on the phone. I don't recommend it. You can do it, but it's not recommended. So those are the standard things that relate to the phone. Now, as far as the actual phone itself, let me see, how much time do I have? Okay, I have 7 minutes here. Again, it's XL size. It has 128 gigabytes of storage. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now, honestly, because it doesn't have a lot of the extraneous apps that come with Google, it's actually pretty fast. So because there's no overhead for all those sub functions that Google does, it also has a very good battery life. Battery life is around 2 days versus a standard Android will have 1 day. And that's because 50% of the battery is used by Google working in the background, spying on you. It has the usual things, it's flashlight and all that. USB-C at the bottom. It does not have a headphone jack. Does not have a headphone jack. That's a problem, is trying to find a motherboard that has a headphone jack. And it's been difficult for us to find that. But you can get these kinds of adapters. Now, this is a kind of a big adapter. There's a small one that just fits in the bottom, kind of miniaturized. This one has a wire. So the other one I have does not have a wire. I'm trying to remember who makes it, maybe Movo. And it's kind of a T-shaped, and you just plug into the back. And you can have both power and earphone on it. and then it works normally, and you don't have to concern yourself with not having a headphone jack. So that is not a deal killer. I wish it came with a headphone jack, but it doesn't. And the phone is not waterproof. So the whole point of the headphone jack was to allow for waterproof phones, and this one is not waterproof anyway, so it doesn't need that. So the cameras are pretty high level. This one comes with a 48 megapixel camera, an 8 megapixel telephoto, and a 5 megapixel macro, and then a front lens as well. The front is 25 megapixels, so it's, very, very good high quality camera on here. There's no wireless charging, although there's a way to put a USB-C wireless charging thing, and then you hide it in the back of the case. And I've used that. Not 100% reliable, but you can do that if that's important to you. It comes with Face ID, fingerprint, pattern, the stuff that you find on a regular phone. So it's pretty much like any normal phone in terms of behavior. Now, what carriers does it work with? Well, we shipped the phone. There is external storage. It comes with 2 SIM card slots. 2 SIM slots, which is excellent for 2FA. So my standard phone has 2 SIM cards, one for my known phone number and another one for 2FA phone number that nobody knows. So that's what I have on my normal phone, and it has that. The second SIM slot can be converted instead to a micro SD card. So if you have a micro SD card, you can put up to 128 gigabytes. If you want to increase to double the storage to add another 128 gigabytes, you can do so and save to the SD card. I tend to use it for the dual SIM. So I'm not using it for that. Okay, so so storage versus SIM, that's your choice. Let's see. The battery, as I mentioned, lasts for up to 2 days. It's 4,500 milliamp hours. Doesn't make any difference. You don't need to know the spec. It just lasts for 2 days under normal use. Now, functionally, it lasts. It's you will not notice, between this phone and let's say standard, brand new Google Pixel, you're not going to notice any performance difference, even though the specs may be lower than a current, brand new flagship model. And the reason is because none of the overhead apps are on here, so actually it runs pretty quickly. There's just not a problem. You can watch videos, you can do pretty much everything on it. Now, what carriers does it support? In the US, it works with every carrier for phone calling. So that's pretty much the case. And the reason that we overcame that, because the problem was, the limitations being placed by carriers and IMEIs. If the IMEI is not known to them, they just block it. Since this is not a known phone, they just block the IMEI. And so we spoofed the IMEI. So every phone that is shipped now in the last few months has a spoofed IMEI. So as far as the carriers, they see a pixel. So that's why they don't get rejected. Whereas early on if you have one of the May models, they get rejected, and there's instructions on how to flash the IMEI yourself. You can take the IMEI off your iPhone, transfer it to this. So now you have 2 devices with the same IMEI, or we can, give you one of our IMEIs. So our IMEIs are real. They're actually phones I own. So there's nothing, no hanky-panky with the IMEIs, but we do reuse them. So we actually do not identify the phones by IMEI, because we actually ship the same IMEI on every single Zucking phone. Okay, and that's so far worked fine. So anyway, this version here, this is the USA model, has the missing band 4, because many of the older model didn't have band 4, only had band 3. Band 3 is great for the EU and international use. For North America, including Canada, you want the USA version. So if you're in Canada, the USA version is what you want. Okay? So, yeah. So if you're in the EU, you need the international version if you want band 3. Now, it works for the most part with or without band 3 or band 4 because there's so many other frequencies supported. This is just one of many. So out of, 5 or 6 common frequencies, you may be missing one, in which case occasionally the signal may not be good on some carriers. Now, we have found one issue with carriers, and for this reason, I do not recommend this carrier for this phone, even though it mostly works. And the carrier that we do not recommend on the phone is Verizon. Verizon's always been a pain. They've always been a pain. But the pain here is that they're not allowing you to modify their APN or access point names. And there's something wrong with the access point name that's being delivered to the phone. It's wrong. So, but we can't edit it. It's wrong because the texting incoming doesn't work. Outgoing texting works, voice works, everything else works, data works, but incoming text does not work. So for that reason, then, since that is kind of a common need, Verizon is not recommended on this phone. If you're stuck with Verizon, stay with a Pixel. Okay, so if you need to use Verizon, stay with a Pixel. I lowered the price on Pixels. Many of them are lower by as much as $100 as of today. Okay, so you can check those out if Verizon is important to you. However, for everybody else, this is the better deal. It's a new phone. Better deal, better OS, better options. This is the better choice. Okay, as well as having a pretty good price. So, and it's brand new. So, okay. So what else? That should answer kind of the basic things in here. Now, just an aside here, before I take a station break. The phone. No, we'll talk about it in the next segment, and that is how you use the phone. Okay, we'll talk about it in the next segment. So let me just take a break now with the sponsor. So yeah, my only sponsor. I only have one sponsor on this channel. I get requests for sponsorship every fucking day. Maybe, I don't know, a dozen a day. And as you know, I don't have many sponsors. I just have the sponsors that I like. And the main sponsor of this channel is me. My company sponsors this channel. But one sponsor that I use myself is Linode. So Linode, or Akamai Linode, provides cloud services. They provide servers, Linux servers specifically. And if I need a server in the cloud, I need a provider. You can go to Amazon, AWS, GoDaddy, and 10 million other companies that supply that. And they're all expensive, and they're all a pain to deal with. And, after many years, a decade of dealing with different cloud service providers, I found one company that I really like, and they were recently purchased by Akamai, but so far that hasn't resulted in anything negative. It's actually positive. They have more money, so they're able to expand their operations, and they're going to be expanding their data centers. If you go to Linode, if you want to set up a website or server or have a domain or anything like that, and you need that service, you go to linode.com/RobBraxman, and they're going to give you a $100 credit that you can use for up to 2 months. And some of their servers are so cheap that you probably never even spend, anywhere near $100 in 2 months. You can spend as little as $5 or a fraction of that a month. So you can even use it to learn. Learn to set up Linux servers, and then sell your services and make money from Linode. So yeah, so that's an option. Okay, let me continue now with the BraX2 phone. So some of you are, you're new to the Google phones. You don't know what to do. You don't know what it takes. And you, by the way, I used to sell this on Amazon. I may bring it back to Amazon, but I was getting so many IMEI problems with Amazon, people returning them because of the IMEI now, IMEI issues, and it was just giving me a horrendous return rate. And people were, a big percentage of returns from Amazon, and it was like, because people don't talk, they don't like contact me and say, why is it not working? They just return. They don't even contact you. So because of that, it's not good for our support to go through Amazon, because it's not, it's not a commercial kind of product like that. If you have a specific question, we're the only ones who can help you. So you got to talk to us. So for that reason, I took it out of Amazon. I may bring it back as we've begun solving all the issues now, and we don't really have any issues anymore. So with the flashed IMEI. So it's not on Amazon. You can only buy this from BraxMe. So you go to the website brax.me, or you go download the BraxMe app, and then you go to the store in the app. You have to sign in. The store is not available visibly from the outside. You have to set up an account, because it's a social media site. It's not just a store. It's a social media site. In the social media site of BraxMe, then you can see the store. BraxMe has around, it's a small site. We have, 80,000 users. So you go into BraxMe. You're not required to provide any personal information to set up an account. You just set up a username and a password, and then you're in. So don't tell me, oh, you're requiring all this private information just to sign into your website. No, it doesn't require you to do anything. Now, obviously, I can't ship to you if you don't provide some other pieces of information later on, but initially you're not required to do anything. Okay, and you can set up multiple accounts. No one's going to stop you. So if you have an account that has your personal data and you want to set up a BraxMe account without personal data, that's up to you. I'm not going to know, one's connected to the other. So yeah, BraxMe does not track IP addresses. So it's encrypted and it's open source. Okay, so anyway, what do you need to do? And I'm beginning to read your comments now. There is no Elon Musk smartphone. Come on. Some of you are saying, I'm going to wait for the Elon Musk smartphone. Well, you're going to wait a long time. There is no such thing as a Tesla phone. It doesn't exist. Okay, so don't look for a Tesla phone. It does not exist. This is the phone you want. This already solves all the big tech problems. There's no need to search anymore. This $420 phone is enough. It'll take care of, all your needs. And, maybe somebody will sell you a used one for even cheaper. Okay, maybe somebody will, go to eBay and sell you a used one. So if you want something cheaper. Okay. So what else? So some of you are coming in. So one of you asked this question, so I'm going to answer it. You say, well, I'm coming in from an iPhone 13 and, I want to sell that. What does it take to go from that to the Google phone? I already told you most apps work. And you just got to find substitutes for the Google apps. For example, you cannot use Google Maps, but you can use open source maps, Osmand. You can use Magic Earth. So there's substitutes. Waze does work, so you can run. We pre-install Waze. Waze is owned by Google, but there's no Google ID, so you can use Waze as long as you don't log in. So Waze runs fine. There's no Google ID to track you, so they don't know who's using the phone. Okay, so and Waze doesn't have permission to go find your IMEI and so forth. So especially if you're using cell data, the IP address doesn't matter. So it's very functional. I mean, all the things that you would normally need are on here, and because it's already de-Googled, there's no Google ID. There is nothing you can do to the phone to make it unsafe. This is really an important point. There's nothing special you have to do. You're like, do I need special procedures? Do I need to transfer the SIM card, not transfer the SIM card? You know, some of these kinds of like, is there something special I got to do? Some special restrictions? No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything special. All you do is either bring it to your carrier, get a new SIM card, have them mail it to you, mail the SIM card, transfer the SIM card from your other phone. We provide you with a little pin to do that, and transfer. There's a video how to set it up and put the SIM card in. Put the SIM card in, turn on the phone, done. Okay, the IMEI is already spoofed. So yeah, so there's nothing you have to do that's special. The instant effect of it is the phone becomes invisible to Google immediately. It's almost like you stop using the phone. So even if you use the same phone number, same Google, you didn't change anything to your Google accounts, nothing changed. Of course, there's no Google on the phone. But as far as Google can see, you disappeared. You disappeared. As far as they can see, you are no longer using a phone. Okay? So that's the visible effect on Google. There's nothing special you got to do. Now, obviously, there's some limitation on what apps you can install on here, and I already told you that some apps can be installed and some apps cannot be installed. And 90% of apps will work. Now, the one limitation that I found with some apps that are not social media are banking apps. Some banking apps require Google Safety Net. Some. I found, for example, that Bank of America requires it, Wells Fargo does not. Just to give you an example with two big banks. I believe Chase does not. So Chase works fine, Wells Fargo works fine, Bank of America sucks. Okay? You can use the website. It doesn't mean that you can't use your bank app, you just have to use the browser. So you can still use, the website. Using the browser, so you don't really lose access. It's just a little bit more clicks to do it via browser, and you can make a browser shortcut, put it on your desktop if you want to know those kinds of little tricks that make it really convenient to use. It's just an Android, so the interface of the phone is just like any Android. And if you've never used an Android before, does anybody really give instructions for how to use a phone? I mean, most people will figure it out, but there's something special. Now, the contacts, there's instructions in BraxMe on how to transfer your contacts. It's very easy. I don't know why you'd think transferring contacts is hard. Ask me again if I forget. See, I forgot what I was talking about, so let me talk about contacts. So contacts on any phone, let's say you have an iPhone or a Google Android, contacts are managed by your Contacts app. So you go to your Contacts app and you export your contacts. There's always an export option on there, and you export it as a VCF file, Victor Charlie Fox .Victor Charlie Fox file, VCF, okay? And then you copy that or you upload it somewhere. You can even upload it to BraxMe. It's probably not going to work. Upload it, to a computer basically, or Dropbox or something like that. And store the VCF file or put it on an SD card. And then transfer it to the Brax phone. And all you have to do is click on the VCF file and it'll import it to the Contacts app called Simple, because we come with Simple Contacts app. And then there it is. All your contacts are there. How hard is that? It's not really terribly hard, okay? Photos, same. You use a computer. You use a USB, copy your files to the computer. Now, there's some procedures you got to do, which is on FAQ on BraxMe on how to enable the USB port to appear like a drive on the computer, and then you put a USB cable, and then you can see the drive. Just copy it there, and it's all there. Okay. What cell towers do you use? We don't dictate your cell towers, your carrier does. You can use whatever, your carrier will choose the cell towers for you when you put the SIM card on. It's not something you choose. You go to your carrier, not Verizon. They give you a SIM card. You put the SIM card in, and it works. And then it connects to whatever tower is around you. You don't need to think about that. Okay, there is no removable battery, so if that's what you want, don't buy this phone. In fact, I'm not sure you can ever find one with removable battery, so it's not an option. Okay, so yeah, so it's not going to happen. So yeah, not sure it will ever happen. It's just, you know, that Android phones are mass produced, so we only have the choices made that are often used by the majority of Android makers. We can't use a motherboard that is just for us. We got to use an existing motherboard. So the motherboard here is from MediaTek. It's used on many, many phone models. The motherboard is the same for many phone models. So, and this is a brand new model. So, you know, so we're kind of stuck with whatever motherboard we can find, and not sure we can find a regular standard motherboard that has removable battery. There isn't one. Okay, Linux phones are custom. This is not a Linux phone, it's Android, so it's not an option for us. So it works in China. It works everywhere, actually. So I've shipped to, you know, for example, I've shipped many to Hong Kong. I've shipped to every country. The only country I don't want to ship to is Germany, because they're zucked up. Germany steals my phones, and they come up with some excuse saying your phone has batteries, so we can't ship even though it's already there. We can't ship your phone, so we're going to return it to you by ground. You're zucking Germany. How do you zucking send it to me here in the US, in California, by ground? Zucking Germans. I don't know. They're the most sick people in customs. It just, I don't know. It's just this hate those people, you know, the bureaucrats in Germany. So I shipped to somebody in Poland. Poland, it wasn't even in Germany. I shipped it to Poland, and it was intercepted at Germany. They opened the box and said, "You got a zucking phone here. We're not going to allow this to fly to Poland." Well, can't you ship it by ground to Poland? Oh, no. We're going to return it to you by ground. Of course, it doesn't arrive. I get an empty package. Somebody stole it. So yeah, so a bunch of, you know, customs people in Germany has BraX phones. Zucking governments. I hate governments. So okay, so okay. What else? What else do you need to know? Let me just see, because I talked about a lot of stuff already. So we pretty much covered everything in under an hour that I can see. Being older and fixed income would like a Google phone at a better price. Yeah, I mean, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if I can get them for free and I just give it all to you, or at least, you know, for a tiny amount. So not really a choice for me, but it's, you know, for a phone it's fairly inexpensive. Some of you, you know, are spending $900 or $1,000 on an iPhone without any problem. And then you bulk at something that's $420. So yeah, this is fairly inexpensive. Can we do a Pixel 7? I believe yes. I haven't done one, but I believe yes. Does your BraX router use a Raspberry Pi motherboard? Yes, but I don't have any Raspberry Pis. There's no NFC. We disabled NFC intentionally. There's a question if we should re-enable NFC. Right now it's disabled intentionally. Brave browser. I mean, everybody comes up with some angle with browsers, and then comes to me and complains. I don't know about any ownership of Google with Brave. I'm not aware of that. Okay. Can you do? Okay. How long do you expect the BraX2 found battery to last years wise? A standard battery under heavy use lasts about 3 years, and under light use around 5 years. Under super heavy use, maybe 2.5 years, but that's extremely rare. I've never seen that. The typical battery life is about 3 years. So that's why the Pixel 3s and the Pixel 4 XLs, those are, I've stopped selling them now because the batteries are starting to get old. And so all of them will kind of require a battery change. And at that point, it's the price of the phone. So, yeah. So, this should last you, the battery should last, the life of the phone. I don't presume you're going to keep the phone for more than 3 years. Most people are not going to keep a phone beyond 3 years. Can you trade on the phone? Why not? Any reason why not? Will the next iteration of your phone have wireless charging and be waterproof? Probably not. Keep the price down. Normally, how long does it take to get one once ordered? 3 days? If you're in the US, assuming I have stock. I'm going to be low on stock, but hopefully I get a refill soon. So if there's any delay, it'll be a few days. If that happens, I have stock right now. I do not have stock of international today. I may have a few more, early next week, or over the weekend, maybe a few. But I have many more of these. So the BraX2 USAs, there's more. Have you read the book Permanent Record? Of course. My batteries last 6 months. I got plenty of girlfriend. Oh, lucky you, Bamboo. Are you boasting? What other stupid questions can we ask? I don't know. What other features are you considering on the BraX3? I'd like to have a nicer body, like either metal or some glass, like some Gorilla Glass thing like you find on an iPhone. So I like that, something attractive. It's nice looking phone anyway. But something like a OnePlus, that kind of design. I wish I could find one with a headphone jack. We'll see where that goes. Wireless charging might be good. Check for questions on Rumble. I will. Okay. So I'll get back to Rumble in a second here. But yeah, what else? Obviously, a new phone should have more memory, more storage, a faster CPU, better camera software, not all that good stuff. So that, of course, is expected nowadays. So conference calls, that has nothing to do with a phone. Any Android can do conference calls. Your phone works well in China? It's assembled in China, so I hope it works in China. So that's a good question, though, and I will answer that specifically. Many phones use the same motherboard. Many Chinese phones used in China use the same motherboard. The most common one is CoolPad Cool S, which has a similar appearance to this phone. It's not the same phone though, but it's the same form factor and same camera and same motherboard, but some of the internals are different. Yeah, so because it's the same motherboard, it's the same baseband modem, so they're identical, and they are used in China, so it has to be working in China. Can you briefly explain the pros and cons of using the Google phones? I answered that at the beginning. So let me write that down, and and get back to that again, because I don't want to repeat. Let me answer the questions that are not repeats first. Okay, so what is the question on Rumble here? Can you do Galaxy Note? No, I cannot do any Samsung. How can I shut off phone trying to update the Android OS? Let it update the Android OS. Why are you stopping the update of Android OS? None of these are questions related to BraX2 though. Okay. So these are not BraX2 questions. So I'm just prioritizing the BraX2 question. Okay, let me go back on the other screen here. Now, the other option you can do on any phone is you can just use data only. And then if you use data only, you could, in theory, use voice over IP and not expose the baseband modem to hacks. You know, that's pretty advanced, and I have a video on that you can consider. Okay, now, let me do the repeat question here so that you know, those that are coming in later are still getting some benefits here. Why a de-Google phone? I answered this at the very beginning. And the answer is, if you have a normie phone, my last video told you that there is no option. I am not being negative. You know, some people are, some person on Twitter said, I'm the most negative person who's ever encountered on social media, because I basically said, you know, you're zocked. And okay, I'm going to make it clear, okay? Yes, if you have a normie phone, you are zocked. Because I don't know of a way, and I enumerated the various things. You know, watch the video on disturbing things about phone tracking. It goes into detail into many issues that are on a standard phone that you cannot stop. There's no solution to them. For example, the non-stop location tracking, which you cannot turn off. That alone. The Google ID, this to that. I mean, there's just no way. Anything you do on the internet is tracked to this. This is now your ID. Okay, and now they're requiring us to carry this. They're requiring us to transact with this. And when you get to CDBC, CBDC. See, I can't even. Central bank, CBDC, central bank digital currencies, you're going to be required to operate with a phone. And why do they want you to have a normie phone? Because they can track you, and there's no solution, none. There's no way around. The tracking is so embedded in there that there's just no way around it. So I'm going to try to explain to you in the next video what concerns me about all this, because it's kind of connected to some, you know, interactions with deep state. You know, it's some very strange things are, you know, I'm seeing in this environment, and it concerns me. And most people are not concerned, but I do get concerns when they're building phones that have the capability to review your content offline, to review what you're doing, to operate the camera and do AI kinds of things on a mass population level, and do it without your knowledge or control and at the behest of, you know, some three-letter agency. Really, really concerning to me. So anyway, the only solution is the Google phone. It's the only answer, you know, at the moment. Hopefully, in the future, more Linux phones will be available. But any non-Googled phone is the solution. There is no solution when it comes to flip phones in the US, for example. You cannot use KaiOS. KaiOS is owned by Google, partially. KaiOS is a Google phone. So KaiOS, even though it's a flip phone, is not safe. Okay, so there's no real answer. The only answer is get a Google phone. Okay. Well, would it be an issue if the phone I send you de-Googling has a cracked... No, we don't care what you send us as long as it works. Okay, Faraday bags. That doesn't solve anything for you. I don't want to use a 5G or higher. Is that possible? Yeah. this phone is 4G. I forgot to tell you that. There's no 5G in a BraX2 phone. This is a 4G phone. It does, obviously, the next phone model will likely support 5G, but 4G, 5G is actually selectable in settings. You can go to settings and say you don't want 5G. At the moment, there's not yet a real 5G. They're more experimental. 5G is just some multi-band LTE at the moment, so they're not yet doing 5G. So everything is just 4G with multiple frequencies. Okay. Boycott all Google Gates product. What the heck does that mean? Okay. I only have 30 minutes left, Zuck. Okay. Let's see, what else? Has anyone had audio issues with your Pixel 3? No. Not a common issue, no. The only main, incompatibility so far that I've found, since we started spoofing IMEIs is Verizon texting incoming. Outgoing is fine, phone works, data works, everything works except for text incoming. And that usually means an APN error on the MMSI setting, but on Verizon you can't update it. So there must be some error in there that we cannot correct. So my answer is Zuck Verizon. If a carrier makes it that difficult, why are you with Verizon? I mean, there's got to be some other option. I have a noisy job. Can you hear the ringer or text when they come in? It's just like any other phone. I can hear it just like any normal phone. You don't want to do Google phone, then narrate everything to Google. Okay, 4G enhanced is the word you're looking for, Rob. No, 4G enhanced is, there's so much terminology. Now they're calling this, there's a 1.5G and then a 5G, something else. It's just marketing terminology. 4G enhanced is, if I recall, is not even a U.S. term. Nobody in the U.S. will say 4G enhanced. They're going to say that's not good enough. We want 5G, so they say 5G. I believe in the rest of the world, most of them will say 4G enhanced. In the U.S., they're going to say 5G. Verizon doesn't have to limit your data because they're restricting you in other ways. What is the advantage of not having Google DNS? You don't want Google DNS, at least not with a direct connect. If you're using my VPN, we will spoof it by aggregating DNS requests into our own DNS server, Pi-hole, and then Google will see it as only one person. So then they don't... it doesn't matter that it's Google or not Google. The worst part is if you go Google Direct, it has your IP address and can track you, including your IMEI and all that. And you're sending it to Google via private DNS, which is a default on Android. Do not enable private DNS on Android. Okay. By the way, tonight and this has been happening so frequently now, it's kind of uncomfortable. But I go on the street and somebody recognizes me. There's so much of that now that I sometimes I don't know how to react because of course being a privacy guy, I tend to be incognito, and I'm not comfortable with being recognized everywhere. But it's quite frequent now. So if you, I apologize if I, get shocked and if I see you somewhere and I don't, like the gentleman who introduced himself to me tonight, and I was like, kind of in shock, and I didn't even ask his name, and yeah, so, so I'll be more aware of that next time. It's happening frequently now. I think in just a week, I don't know, 3 people have approached me just in a week, and I hardly go out. So anyway, appreciate that, but just I'm trying to be incognito. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's the problem when your channel gets big, because in all of my social media, I probably have over 500,000 followers and subscribers. So yeah, and how many millions of views. So yeah, so my videos have been seen, by many millions already. So especially in the US, since that's most of my audience in the US. Okay, so yeah, it's because I said you're the fave Asian. What does that mean, Sassy Doe? You might need to go to new stores. I started your trend. So how are we doing with time here? Okay, we still have time. So okay, what else? So so K2 Dead Damn 2 is on Rumble, waiting for YouTube to crumble. Yeah. Are there any earbuds compatible? Yeah, sure. It's Bluetooth. I mean, why not? Should work. Should work fine. I mean, I use it with a car. Oh, apps that kind of don't work 100%. The Tesla app. So, what exactly is wrong with the Tesla app? The maps, because the phone does not have Google Maps, and Tesla has Google Maps built into the app. So when you're going for, let's say, a service, let's say you have a flat tire, you can't use the app to pinpoint your location because there's no Google Maps. So yeah, that's an example of, it works though. I mean, the app works. It's just the Google Maps part. Okay. Yes, BraX phones have more privacy than I do. Yes. Okay, so can we use BraX2 phone on T-Mobile? FT of the X? Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, since I use T-Mobile. I am on T-Mobile. I'm also on Ting. So my SIM 1 is T-Mobile. SIM 2, because I have 2 SIMs on here. SIM 2 is Ting. And I actually tried, everyone. I tried Cricket, Boost, H2O, goodness, so many carriers. I got a lot of SIM cards and I put them in there. So they all seem to work. Have I seen the news about Twitter files? I don't need to see the news on Twitter files. I'm on Zucking Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter. Those Twitter files are very important. Very important, and a bunch of extremists on the left think it's something you should ignore, because apparently they want you to be under the control of deep state. So yeah, and you think this is about politics, like Zuck. Okay, they're so embroiled in the politics. The extremists. Especially the woke extremists, they're so extreme on the politics that they're failing to understand that no one should want your devices and your social media to be controlled by the Zucking government. You don't want that. In case you drop it or lose it, what? What do you want? Private Find My Phone? There may be such a thing. There may be an app like that. Do you do banking on your BraX2? Yeah, you can do banking on BraX2, depending on the bank. Otherwise, you use the browser. I tend not to do banking on the phone, but you can, yeah. Can you buy a BraX2 phone anonymously by not giving any name or address and with cash? Well, money order, not cash. Yeah, you can do that, but I mean, why are you going through all that? I mean, it's like a bit of overkill. Yeah, you can send me a money order and I can process it that way, but you know, you got to go to BraxMe to talk to me, or I don't know who to send it to. Do two SIMs work simultaneously, or do they work separately? They can. You can actually choose this. For example, you can say data on one, phone calling on the other, texting on another. You can actually control those three. You can actually choose when you make outgoing which SIM card you're going to use. That's a little complicated. I don't like to use it like that. So what I do is I set my phone to operate normally for outgoing on one SIM card, but when you get incoming, it can come on either SIM card. Okay, Aurora Store not opening. Update your Aurora Store. Typically, I don't make Aurora, so you know, update it. They're always trying to evade Google, so you know, sometimes they need to update. Go to F-Droid, update it, refresh repositories on F-Droid. Those are all in the setup video. This is true of all the Google phones. It's not unique to Brax. Okay. I use Telegram a lot. Can I use it? Yeah, you can use Telegram. You can, yeah, there's no problem with that. Will you preload K9 on the Brax? K9 is already preloaded. K9, let's see, Waze is preloaded, OpenVPN, what else? NetGuard, NewPipe, then Signal, Brave. I think those are F-Droid, of course. Those are the base Orbot. Those are the basics that are preloaded. You know, take a screenshot of that to see what apps are preloaded. Those are preloaded. And then you can go to Aurora Store and install whatever app you want, or F-Droid, one of the two. So, yeah. You can run any VPN on this as well as Android, any Android. Yeah. You can run any VPN. Does anyone have experience using their microG device to identify with the ISP to access public Wi-Fi hotspots around their city? Don't know what that means. You cannot load Thunderbird on mobile. They don't have that yet. K9 is going to be Thunderbird. That's the plan. Thunderbird bought K9. How do I become a Pine 64 community member, or how do I purchase? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I do have a Pine phone, but they're really for developers. I mean, the kind of users that are in my channel probably will complain if I push them towards a Pine phone. What's the most secure messaging app for Brax phone? The most secure. Now, Signal is preloaded. However, I don't believe Signal is the best one. The best one will come in a future video, which I'm going to tell you right now. The best app, the best secure, if you really want, you know, like really super secure messaging app, the one I would recommend is Session. Session. So I'll make a video about it, but Session is the #1 app that I would, if let's say two of you, you know, you're talking to somebody and you want supreme privacy without metadata, Session. Now, Signal's okay for family. Signal's okay for family. Conversations is fine too, but we're talking about, you know, something that's, you know, even better. And admittedly, Sessions has improved so much that it's really even better than Conversations. Okay? Because it works on every platform. They have it now on all platforms. I'm going to do a video about them. I already told them on Twitter that I'm going to do a video about them. And Session is truly the one messaging secure messaging app that thinks along the same lines that I do. Somebody that's concerned about metadata, not just the security of your encryption, but the metadata. And they have a superior approach. Yeah, they should be impossible to track. So yeah, if I'm hiding from 3-letter agencies, I go session, for sure. It's better than anything else. Not gonna go for Threema and some of the other ones. No, session. So it's it's amazing. Florida Pete, my gosh, Florida Pete, what are you doing on YouTube? You should be on Twitter. So, by the way, I do have a jazz channel, and it's Rob Braxman Jazz, and I've been posting music on there. I've been like really practicing hard, and if you appreciate piano and jazz, I have my little trio, and we're recording it, and I've been really active playing music. Which kind of went to a hiatus during COVID, and I'm back, and I'm even taking lessons again, and follow me on the Rob Braxman Jazz channel. I just posted something new in today, last night, or this morning, and then I had a new one from 2 weeks ago, and we've been practicing heavily, and hopefully I'm getting better. And so there's no privacy tablet I can recommend at the moment, although Pine 64 is coming up with a Linux tablet. Other than that, there's no tablet to recommend. I mean, if you want something modern and want an operating system you can use, then the closest thing I can say is go with a Surface Go, and then follow the procedures I have in Microsoft Windows instructions to disable the spyware on it, because you can do it. So it can be done. So that's a choice that you can have if you want to use a tablet format. But better not use a tablet. Just use a laptop. Even a convertible one. Put Linux on it. There you go. The channel for jazz is called Rob Braxman Jazz. It's actually linked in this channel. Can I use my home Wi-Fi or other Wi-Fi with Brax VPN or BraX2, or will make this less private? Yeah, you can do that. Your safer option when you're home is to use cell data on a BraX2 phone, because external apps will track your IP address. So if you're not using a VPN, it's not as safe. So, but if you're cell data, then they can't track the IP address. There's also Orbot is built in. It's using Tor, which is very slow, but it's very secure. So if in the absence of a VPN, you can use Orbot. Okay. Periscope alumni, yes, Florida Pete. How are you doing, Florida Pete? Hey, Pete, I know you're having difficulty with housing in Florida, and I was going to suggest this to you, but have you ever thought about living on a boat? Because I know people living on a boat, and the rent is cheaper. I mean, obviously you don't have as much space, but you renting a boat is often cheaper than an apartment. So yeah, think about that. If you don't mind the marine environment, because I love the marine environment. I stay on my boat all the time. So yeah. So anyway, it's just cheaper option for residents. So at home, cell data is more private than home Wi-Fi. Yes, Tom, that is correct. Is the Session app downloaded on F-Droid or Aurora? I believe it's on both, but I would use the F-Droid one. Oh, you found a place. Florida Pete found a place. Okay. My friend told me to get a trailer. Okay, yeah, that can work too. Yeah, at least it's more stable as on land. Yeah, I live on I don't live on a boat. I mean, I can't live on my boat because it's big enough for that, and I do stay on my boat, for extended periods, but it's um, I have neighbors who actually live on their boats. So Truth Social is making you be off VPN as of this past week. Zuck, then dump that Truth Social. I'm not on there. Yeah, I have a sailing channel. Of course, I'm not posting. I stopped posting the same thing over and over. So I'm only posting sailing events when there's something unique, like if I'm sailing by myself. But yeah, I don't want to be boring by posting the same thing and say, "Oh, I'm going sailing today," because I sail every week. So I could make a video every week, but there's nothing that's going to be unique. Any advantage to staying on Android 13? There's no advantage to staying on Android at all. You should be on the Google OS. You should not be on any kind of Android that is not OS. Are you prepped in case a giant X flare takes down the grid? Yes, I'm probably more prepared than most people. Besides, I have a boat that's not connected to the grid, and it has solar power. Yeah, I still have the BraxMe app. Florida Pete, there's a bunch of people on there talking. There's very few Periscope people on there now. Most people are from YouTube. So, how dare you share the idea of living on a boat? You can call me Captain if you want. Seer. So, let's see. I really don't want to use an app for a voice recorder. Does the phone have a built-in voice recorder to save? Yes. There's a voice recorder built in. Yeah, Commodore is probably more appropriate for me. Right. Because I am a Commodore as well as a captain. I'm a captain of my vessel, but I'm actually, I have a rank of Commodore. Look into your Google phones. I find it ironic that the phones on the website are mostly Google phones. That is not ironic. There's nothing ironic about it. It's Google makes Android, so obviously we're taking Android and modifying Android, and they are already compatible with Android. It's not really a big mystery. However, this is not a Google Pixel. This is a BraX2. This is actually better. Musk doesn't answer me, Florida Pete. I get the blue check mark and it still doesn't respond to me. Musk needs to pay attention to me. Bobby, you do not want to be involved with that community. The most negative community on the internet. Why would you ever want to even get involved with them? They don't do anything special. They just promote themselves and give you fake news to make you think they're important. And made in China. Where's your iPhone made? Where's your Google Pixel made? Early stuff. Where do you think your phones are made? So someday, I hope phones will be made in more places, but unfortunately, that's not the case today. Okay, so we have 7 minutes. So you should have a ham radio channel. There's too many ham radio channels. Yeah, the problem is the reason I can't have a ham radio channel is I tried to do this because I do have some ham radio on the sailing channel where I actually was on the radio, making contacts on field day, and you have to announce your call sign. And I don't want to announce my call sign on YouTube. So as you know, if I know your call sign, I can find out where you live. So no, I don't need that. Okay, I mean, people see me on the streets already. I already have a problem where people see me on the streets and say, "Oh, you live around here." Right, that's not a mystery. The address of the company and the PO box. So that part is not much of a mystery as far as where I'm around. But the less information, the better. I don't want anyone knocking on my door, because may have to demonstrate various tools that are not allowed to be shown on YouTube. Defensive tools. Defensive tools are not allowed to be shown on YouTube. So it's not. It'll cause you to be demonetized. But anyway, I do have a problem. The thing is, going back to the Twitter files and that issue, I'm really quite concerned about. Watch that next video, AC. I'm really concerned about what is happening. They're building devices that are truly surveillance machines, and then in surveillance that I don't even talk about recently. I talked about it before, but not recently. Beyond even what I just said, location, beyond that, it goes beyond that. And then now we find out that, as I've already stressed over and over, that somehow three-letter agencies are directly involved with that. So now you got the spy machines and the three-letter agencies and the ability to do mass surveillance, because you all have spy devices. Really start to think about the Google phones as going beyond that. I mean, we can actually, a small number of us can actually defy that if we take certain precautions. So I don't really know who Andrew Tate is, so don't have anything to say. Rob 86079. So I don't really. Florida Pete gets his news from a right-wing website, according to the left-wingers. Okay, so yeah, I try not to inject politics in here, as you know, but I am actually very, very concerned that some extremists, because it goes against their politics, are ignoring the issue. With three-letter agencies in bed with big tech. If you actually know the kind of information they have, I already told you about you being mapped. They know what you're thinking. You're in a map. And to know that a three-letter agency can say, well, I want to know where this person is and who it is, and put them on a map so we can go, keep an eye on them, because they're starting to rise up in our suspicious profile, because they're parents who are against what's being taught in public schools, something like that. I mean, this is the kind of world we're dealing with here. Okay, so anyway, so this video, at least the first hour of this, seems to be pretty good at explaining BraX2. I may cut it short, and then hopefully we can link this. Maybe Cosmic Rose can link this video to FAQ. If somebody says, well, what's in a BraX2 phone, we can put on an FAQ and they can link to it, and then I can preserve this video on the playlist, specifically explaining what a BraX2 phone is in the first hour of this. So, okay, so I'm out of time, and I guess I won't see you till the new year. So Happy New Year, folks! Happy New Year, and we're gonna hit the road running here on 2023 with a lot of issues on my mind. That I hope we can study and examine, and I'm really happy that the channel is doing well at this moment. I've got quite a few new subscribers this last month, so we got a spike. You know, you never know with YouTube. So anyway, enjoyed having you all in 2022, and thank you for supporting me. And if you've just followed me recently, I appreciate it. Happy New Year, everyone, and I'll see you in 2023. Good night. Okay, so let me just shut it down simultaneously for all.